this is the Provoked Prawn, and I'm the Barry White of computer nerds, and this is the glorious Model 02 Wireless, which is the new updated and refreshed version of the glorious Model O, and a super lightweight mouse with a number of bold claims that include up to 200 hours of battery life with Bluetooth 5.2 low energy, which is pretty awesome, 2.4 gigahertz wireless, and upgraded sensor with BAMF 2.0 optical. And in this video, I'm going to be unboxing the mouse and show you what's included and the various features and highlights of it. But the first thing I was struck by was the similarities with the SteelSeries Aerox 3 Wireless Ghost Edition. This is the 2022 variant, so I'm probably going to do a versus video on that and some other options in the near future. Now, this is an interesting mouse from Glorious with a number of highlights that include 6 programmable buttons, obviously upgraded switches. Glorious switches are rated up to 80 million clicks. It also weighs in at around 68 grams, although mine was a touch heavier, and you'll see some more of that later on. Has specs that include up to 26,000 max DPI, 650 max IPS, 50 Gs acceleration, and 1000 Hz polling rate. It also has an adjustable lift-off distance between 1 mil and 2 millimeters, and some other highlights to it. Now, this is a nice looking mouse, and Glorious was kind enough to send a care package with a couple of bits in it, including a carry case and a mouse bungee. I'll show it a bit later on. Obviously, the main focus of this video is going to be about the mouse itself, though, because I've seen a number of lightweight mice over the last few years, and I've been testing this mouse out for the last couple of weeks and giving it a go, gaming, working, and general use. And there are some interesting quirks to it. Now, it is obviously a nice looking mouse, as you've already seen from those initial shots with the usual holy design, and obviously on the face of it, nice specs that make it well worth considering. It's also remarkably affordable for what you're getting, just under $100, and yet you've got a powerful mouse with all the usual features that you'd expect. So obviously you have a USB-C charging cable, you have a little dongle extender, you've got 2.4 gigahertz, you've got RGB lighting. Interesting note when you get out of the box as well, as it says it's set to 5% RGB lighting, and that's adjustable with a few different clicks. So you actually can have hardware controllers over the RGB lighting, as well as the Glorious software, which you can use to adjust things too. On the underside, you'll see there are a number of PTFE feet. They are quite small compared to something like the Logitech G Pro X Superlight, and yet I have found it slick to use. There's also a sticker that needs to be removed, and on the underside you'll notice there's a Dpi LED, which will let you know what DPI level you're on, which you can switch between with that button behind the mouse wheel. I'm going to do a sound test later on so you can hear what the buttons sound like, but I've found them satisfying to click, and they've given me great response during use, and you can see there's very little wobble or pre-travel in them. They're just really nicely designed. There's also a nice little curve there where your fingers sit into them, so it is comfortable. It is quite slimline though, so it does quite sit low to the desk. So if you are a palm gripper as I am, you might find that it doesn't push up into your hand quite enough. Now, one of the interesting quirks of this mouse is the way that the USB-C cable plugs in, because it will only plug in one way. Glorious did this before, and I don't understand the logic of it, because you can't plug it in both directions. Surely USB-C, you should be able to plug it in either way around, but for some reason they've designed it so you can only plug it in one way up. There's a little marker to show you which way around you're meant to do that, but you can see that you can't do it both ways, which is an odd choice and a weird quirk of a design. And actually, I blame Glorious for me having to test this on every mouse that I've tested out over the last few years since I saw that one which wouldn't do it before, because you'd think that it would work, but no, it doesn't. And then you have this extension dongle. Obviously, you can plug your 2.4 gigahertz dongle into that. You can then put that closer to your desk, so you either have a better signal or easier access to the charging cable if you need it. Now, I didn't find that the signal was a problem. I haven't had any issues with the signal of this mouse. It's responsive and is accurate. Obviously, 2.4 gigahertz gives you the best low latency accuracy for gaming, and it has certainly been really active. I've been using this to play Battlefield 2042 and Tarkov and some other shooters as well, and I've just found it nifty. But you can see that the frustration with the USB-C cable also goes into this dongle, so worth bearing in mind. But it is a very flexible, floppy cable, which is certainly beneficial. However, I will note as well that you do have to plug it in quite a lot. So despite the claims of having up to 210 hours of battery life, I found that when I was using it over the 2.4 gigahertz, the battery ran out quite often, regularly. So 110 maximum. Take that with a big grain of salt, because it will depend on how much the RGB's on and how much you're using the mouse quite significantly. Now, they claim around 68 grams. I actually found mine was 70 or 69-ish, thereabouts. You're going to expect some variance in the design, but otherwise a fairly lightweight mouse that's easy to flick about and doesn't really cause you any issues in sort of wearing out your wrist because it's a bit heavy or hefty or problematic to move. So it's slick, it's agile, it's got some decent specs to it, it's comfortable to use. I haven't had any problems with connectivity or the responsiveness from it. There's no issues with latency from what I've seen. So for the most part, it's really good, but there is certainly a frustration with the battery life. I do find that to be a bit lacking, which is a real shame. You do have adjustable DPI levels though, and you can just press that button behind the mouse wheel to access them, and that's certainly nice. Now, Glorious has included this mouse bungee in the pack. Obviously, that'll usually be a separate purchase, but it does mean that you can put that cable in an easier reach and have the convenience of plugging it in. I actually found this was really beneficial simply because I was just plugging it in so often, but it does mean that you don't clutter up your desk with that extra cable. I have plugged it in multiple times, and I know I'm banging on about this point a bit, perhaps, but I did find that this was an issue. It won't necessarily be if you turn the RGB lighting off, but you can see that the RGB lighting is really nice from both angles. So you've got it on either side, there's a strip, and then you can obviously see the holes in the center as well. Now, it's not the brightest stuff seen, as you saw from that clip with the SteelSeries Aerox 3 earlier on. That design lets RGB bleed through quite a little bit more. But if you're not a fan of that RGB, you can obviously turn that down, maximize battery life and more. But you will see that it does sit very low to the desk. I think this mouse will probably be more comfortable for claw grippers. I found it a bit more on the small to medium size rather than on the larger side. I am a palm gripper personally, so I prefer larger mice that push up to the hand a bit more and fit in the hand a bit better. But I will say that I haven't had any issues with comfort. So a quick sound test now so you can hear some of those clicks. So stick with me for a minute. And then you'll see from multiple angles a very satisfying looking mouse. Basically, Glorious has taken what was already a great mouse and then just carried it on. The mouse wheel isn't obnoxiously loud. It's actually pleasant to use. It gives a good response to it. Nice soft touch sort of design with that rubber finish. You can see the RGB shining through there as well. But more importantly, it's just not noisy and obnoxious. The side buttons are a little bit on the slick side though, so they're a bit slick, which can be problematic, but they are satisfying to press and it does have some good action out of it. So overall, a really good mouse for the money, in my opinion. Another successful mouse from Glorious and well worth considering. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Thanks for watching.
You've made it right to the end of the video, you brilliant legend you. If you've enjoyed it, click that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and drop me a comment down below if you've got any questions. If you really enjoyed it, consider joining the channel and see the benefits of doing so. Check out these other videos, you might well find them interesting or useful, and most importantly, have a great life.